I'm the kind of prepper that just wants to make sure that his family is taken care of during the worst of times. Hello, YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Ladies and gentlemen, I was just about to get ready to start working on the bunker here. And I just finished reading the news for the day before I came out here, had my cup of coffee, etc. And the question is, are you prepared? How many of you are still asleep and think that nothing can happen here in these United States of America? Because we are these United States of America. Have you taken a look at what's going around in the world and how fast things can ignite? We have to prepare for anything and be prepared for anything at all times. I'm not talking about a doomsday scenario, but what may seem as civil unrest in other countries like South Africa. I'm sure you know what's going on there. Many other channels have been talking about it. Or in Cuba. And even the hunger that's accelerating all over the world. What makes you think that won't happen here or can't happen here? Have you looked around and seen what's going on in our country? Have you taken a look at our carryover from last year as far as food goes into this year? And how this year's food production in many parts of the U.S. is going to be dismal compared to last year's? Sure, there are some parts of the U.S. where food production is going to be great. Thankfully, it's going to be great. But there are many more parts where it's not. Right now, I believe it's like 48% or more of the area of the United States is facing severe drought. Do you think that's good or bad for food production? So do you have those things that you need in order for you to be able to maintain your caloric standard of living? Meaning so that you can have what you need to at least eat. Do you have those things put away? And if you do have a good stockpile, are you filling in the gaps? Are you making sure that those gaps that you're putting into your stockpile are being filled in on a regular basis to make sure that you're at full capacity at all times? Ladies and gentlemen, I was thinking about all of this social unrest that's going on, not only here in the U.S., but everywhere else. But of course, I live here in the United States, so this is the country that I concentrate on. And I was thinking about how quickly things can escalate. And it reminded me this morning when I was making my coffee. Ever since I got that Jetboil little camp stove, I've been using it every single day to heat the water for my coffee because it's so efficient, you know, and it gets that water up to a boil so fast. So I filled my Jetboil a little too much. I put a little too much water on it. Even though during the review, I said, make sure you don't fill it past this line because it can boil over. And it made me think, when you bring the water to a boil on that Jetboil, it starts to get over the line a little bit. So it takes a while for that water to heat up. It takes about 45 seconds to a minute for that water to heat up. But then once it heats up and it comes to a boil, it doesn't take very long afterwards for the water to fill over and to spill onto the counter. That's what it will be like, in my opinion. When civil unrest meets a certain threshold, it's going to take a while for it to get to this level. And then all of a sudden from this level, it's going to go over the top in an instant. Same thing with inflation. When inflation, due to all of the money printing that government's doing, it's slowly going to come to a boil, ladies and gentlemen. But once it comes to a boil, it's going to take no time for it to boil over. So that's what you need to be prepping for. You need to be prepping to make sure that you don't get caught in between the boil and the spillover. Because once you get caught in between the boil and the spillover, you won't have any more time to prep. This is the time for us to prepare, ladies and gentlemen. And you know what? It may take a while for us to get to that boil. Right now, we are in what I would say the simmering stage. That's where we are right now, in my opinion. But we are headed towards that boil. And once we get to that boil, ladies and gentlemen, hold on. And it may take a while. And thankfully, it will take a while. Hopefully, it will take a while. Because that gives us more time to prepare. I think that many people are missing the point that The government can print all the money that they want, but they cannot create food out of thin air. Even, I know some of you are going to say, well, they can print food now, right? They still need resources to do that. You still need resources in order to print food. You still need to have a media, right, that food can feed off of. So if you're into printed food, by all means, go eat all the printed food you want. But my point is this. There is too much currency floating around for the amount of resources that we have currently. That is going to put a lot of pressure on the price of everything that we buy. And eventually, that pressure will result to shortages. And if the government then takes and puts controls on the price of foods, that will result in even more shortages. All we have to do is study history to see that this is what will happen. Same thing that happened in Venezuela. The government put controls on the price of foods, and it ended up being that the money was being so devalued that with those controls in place, vendors could not afford to restock their shelves with the money that they were earning from selling the food because of the government controls that were implemented. This is the road that we are headed into, and this is why we must prepare. It is very important for our country that as many people that can prepare, be prepared. I would like to think that everyone could be prepared for a long crisis, because we're going to head into a crisis that will be a long crisis. And it's not just going to be civil unrest. It's going to be a multiple of things that will come together at once and cause a major crisis where we will not be able to get those things that we can normally get on an everyday basis. And those people that can get them, they are going to be the people that have the resources and the currency of whatever type it may be to get them. So make sure that you prepare today. It is so important, ladies and gentlemen, that we take this seriously. The best thing that you can do to maintain your sovereignty, to maintain somewhat of a semblance of the freedoms which we enjoy today, is to be prepared. That way, when those things disappear, you don't have to count on someone else. So like I said, society can go from 0 to 100 in an instant. And that's what I want to talk about today during our live stream at 2 p.m. Alaska time, 6 p.m. Eastern time. So I hope to see you there. Ladies and gentlemen, the time is running short, but we still have time. I personally feel that we still have 1.5 to 2.5 years before things start getting so bad that the average person is going to start panicking and doing bad things. Look at what's going on in South Africa. People are saying, yeah, this is going on because the ex-president got arrested or something like that. I'm not really following the story too much. I just see the headlines. But pretty much that's the premise of why what is happening in Africa is happening. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to say that I disagree. All right? I have to say that I disagree. Those people are hungry. All right? Sure, you have your factions of folks over there that may be, taking advantage of department stores and stealing things that really have no value, right? That really add no value to your life or to their lives. However, most people are hungry. And what happens when you're hungry? You do irrational things. Why? Because your body goes into survival mode. You do things that you would have never done before. Put yourself in a situation where you cannot feed your family for a week. Just think about that. A week is such a short time. But put yourself in a situation where that 1 week you have no food for your family. That short time, as we see it now, you know how we say, well, time flies. Trust me, if you don't eat for a week straight, time does not fly. You spend all your days, all your hours, all your minutes thinking about food. I've read some studies about people that were experimented on as far as hunger goes, and where they were fed very low calories on a daily basis for months. And they said that after about a week or so, all they could think about and or talk about was food. and they had barely no energy to do any labor whatsoever. So is that what you want for you and your family? Should we enter into a crisis where food and any kind of sustenance that you may need in order to preserve life, in order to just keep you alive, becomes scarce or unavailable? That's not the world that we want to live in, ladies and gentlemen. We cannot control, you and I cannot control what's going to happen. On a personal level, we cannot control what is going to happen in the grand scheme of things. But one thing that we can control on a personal level is to ensure that we have those supplies necessary in order to ensure that our family can continue to receive the nutrients and the food that we need in order to survive that crisis. It's not about Armageddon. It's not about the end of the world. It's not about an asteroid hitting. It's not about an insurrection. It's not about any of that kind of stuff. It's just merely about surviving a crisis. And it does not take a lot for you to prepare. I'll tell you what, if you're new, if you just happen to click on this video out of nowhere and you're still here, first of all, thank you. Take a look at the over 1,000 videos that I have. I know that a lot of videos are like news articles that I read that I think are important to know about for prepping purposes, but a lot of other videos are also, short videos that give you good ideas on what you can do to prep on the cheap and to prep in general. I'm not one of those preppers that goes out into the mountains to hunt and all that stuff. I have nothing against that. Those kinds of skills, in my opinion, are invaluable. I'm the kind of prepper that just wants to make sure that his family is taken care of during the worst of times. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's not the worst of times. These are actually still pretty good times compared to those times that are coming in the future. And I can't tell you when. I can't tell you if it's next week or next month or next year. But all I can tell you is this, ladies and gentlemen. If you study history, you know that it's coming. If you study history, you know that we will have an event that will lead to a crisis where your life will change and your standard of living will be diminished. And those that sit at the top, that pass the laws or write into regulation, those things that cause us strife, they'll have everything they need, ladies and gentlemen. But will you have everything that you need? Will you have the things that you need to survive? That's the question you have to ask yourself. So instead of buying a new car, drive a 14-year-old car. Instead of buying that 86-inch TV, I can't believe they have an 86-inch flat screen TV. I mean, I was flabbergasted when I saw it. I was like, oh my goodness, my jaw dropped to the floor. I was like, an 86-inch TV. Instead of buying that 86-inch TV, go ahead and get a TV. Nothing wrong with it. But go ahead and get that $200 50-inch screen TV instead of that $4,000 86-inch TV. All right, ladies and gentlemen, instead of going to Starbucks every single day, hey, go ahead and support your local businesses by all means. I do. I go get a $5 cup of coffee every 2 weeks to every month. I do, because I like to support my local businesses. But instead of doing it every day or every other day, maybe do it once a week or once every other week, and then take the monies that you saved from that and put it into some dried goods that you can store away for long term. There are so many things that you can do to be better prepared and to ensure that your family will have those things that they need in times of crisis. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'll leave it at that. I have to get to work. My goal today is to insulate the inside of the bunker. So that's what I'll be doing today. However, I will see you today at 2 o'clock Alaska time, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Hope that you have a good day. Hey, hope that you had a great week. TGIF. All right, we'll see you then. Remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to every one of you and your families. I'm Alaska Prepper, and I'm out.
Nutrient survival isn't just survival food. It's special ops grade. Built to the nutritional standards of the U.S. Special Ops and packed with 40 essential nutrients. Formulated to sustain energy, sharpen focus, and keep you and your family thriving during any emergency. Real food, real ingredients. Oh, and a 25-year shelf life. Our meals will kick your taste buds in the mouth and have them coming back for dessert. Yeah, we've got that too. So whether you're digging in or bugging out, you don't just survive an emergency situation, you thrive in it. Nutrient Survival. Feed your freedom.